Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping back down in the world of Bitcoin just to give you a brief update with what's been going on today so far and what I think might actually just be on the cusp of a breakout. So want to get into this data. If you find it useful and informative, hit the like button, you know I appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will stay up to date with all the live streams and videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't joined us in Discord yet, check out the link in the description below. It's a fantastic place full of like-minded individuals talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Okay guys, let's jump right down into this brief update on a BTC. So basically following on from what we were talking about this morning, as we do have that 5-wave structure move to the downside, we were tracking this as potentially a 5-wave move to the upside. It still technically is valid, so that's okay. We could be looking at that. But I also do think that maybe this is actually just an ABC structure and we're overthinking this particular area just over here. And one of the key things I do want to kind of talk about is something that we were talking about this morning, specifically on our weekly time frame where we had this parallel channel. Okay, now this parallel channel basically is a series of lower or higher lows, I should say, okay, and of course a series of higher highs on this journey. Now, essentially these things tend to be more bearish than bullish, okay, despite what your opinions may be on that. It's subjective to, I guess, you guys. But essentially what I say here quite frequently, and we say it over and over and over again, is when we are seeing these higher lows and these higher highs, generally speaking, these, not all the time, but generally speaking, have a break to the downside, okay, not to the upside. And vice versa, when we see these the opposite way around, okay, essentially where we're seeing these lower lows and these lower highs that are getting set in here, okay, these kind of parallel channels, they actually have a break to the upside. They seem bearish, but actually they're bullish, right? It doesn't always play out that way, but there's a high correlation or similarity between these when you see them time and time again. Here's another one. We actually broke to the upside, but then COVID pulled us back down. That's a little bit of an exception to it. But for the most part, you can kind of see exactly what's going on. Now, I bring this up and I reference it again now because on our hourly chart here, we're seeing something very similar. Okay, just within this little area here. This makes me think it's more of a B wave than a fourth wave. But let me go ahead and just show you. I'm going to bring up my parallel channel. I'm just going to snap this in to a couple of key areas just in here, and we're going to just pop that in there. Okay, now you can use trend lines if you want. You can do however you want to. Parallel channels obviously mean that you have this kind of consistent trend line at the upper end and the bottom end, and you should stay inside the channel until you break out of it. Now, with this, we can obviously see that we have this area here. Now, we could, of course, go ahead and just use the closed body positions if we wanted to, but I prefer to use the wicks because the price essentially did actually end up going to those levels, and therefore we should actually reference them in my opinion. Okay, but nonetheless, we're inside this parallel channel. Now, as I kind of zoom out on this on a little bit just here, you can kind of see it right here. Okay, now as I said, right, this is the opposite way around to what we're talking about on Sunday, where we're setting those higher lows and those higher highs. Here we are setting ourselves up with some lower lows and some lower highs, right? People feel really bearish about that, but I think we are going to be breaking to the upside, at least very briefly, okay, as our momentum has shifted to the upside here. So let's go ahead and just show you this, right? So on this particular area here, we can see that our stochastic on the outside, our RSI on the 1 hour chart has to go up. The 4 hour chart is almost in the overbought, but it's not quite there. The same with the 8 hour is almost overbought, but it's not quite there, which means we are probably going to be moving up just to get those things into the overbought area before we pull to the downside. Okay, that's very apparent here when we start taking a look at that. Now, the interesting thing comes not only from inside our parallel channel, which I'll go ahead and remove right now, but if I throw the Bollinger Bands on, we are seeing a contraction inside the space. Now, historically, that's a bad word. So basically, when we see contractions within the Bollinger Bands, these do not give you a directional move, but what they do tell you is you're about to have a volatile movement, okay? So you can see over here, we're actually getting really tight and wound up into this area here, and we had a volatile movement to the downside. We see another contraction just in here, and we had a volatile movement to the upside, and we're getting a contraction right now. I think we're about to have another volatile movement. Now, the Bollinger Bands do not tell us which direction that is going to go in. However, I'm speculating that we are probably going to be going to the upside. Not only do I have the momentum behind us, but I also have Elliott wave theory indicating something not too dissimilar. Obviously, as we were talking about this morning, we have a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5 like that. However, I think this is actually going to be more of a kind of 3-wave structure to this effect. Okay, now I'm going to estimate my target on this. I'm going to just pull this in. I'm going to pull this over to this low that we had recently. I'm going to say 19,991. Okay, that's going to be my 1-to-1. Probably 20,000 rejection, something like that, right? So I just go ahead and remove these Bollinger Bands, right? We obviously have our parallel channel. If you want to look at it like that, you can look at it as a bull flag as well. That's another scenario. So basically, you can look at it in multiple different ways, right? Basically, you're setting ourselves up with our lower highs and our lower lows. I'm going to draw trend lines on it this way around. And basically, if I grab my pencil here, this is our pole, this is our flag, and we're going to break to the upside. From Elliott wave theory, that is an ABC, and for the most part, I think everything else is kind of a given at this point. So what this tells us, it means that we are not likely to cross the origin level at 20,180, as long as we stay below there. Then this is actually a very typical wave 2, meaning that we'll break down pretty heavily from here. So if I grab this, and this is something we're talking about this morning, wave 1 down here, wave 2 up here, wave 3 will take us down into new lower lows and so forth, okay? And that hasn't changed. This is a short-term bullish movement to the upside to get us back up into the overbought area, and I can see that this is something that I think is very likely to occur over the next few hours or so. So guys, that's kind of what I have for you this afternoon. Hopefully you found this useful, informative. If you have, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will stay up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.